Hello, pickle people. We are back. It's another episode of Is This a Pickleball Podcast? I'm your host, Matthew K. Pickleball, and I am joined by my mustard brother, lover of yellow. How are you, Mr. Wilson?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing good. Did you guys know it's, for those who don't know, it is Lunar New Year's today when we're recording this. And to show my love for Matt, I am cutting into my Lunar New Year celebration just to fit this podcast in before I head back out. So yeah, you're welcome, Matt.
Oh, Wilson, you know who I shouldn't even be thanking. You know who's really thanking you? The people that watch the pod, because I got more, I know we were family friendly. I got more guff from folks about how I just talk over everybody. So, Wilson, get ready. Lag, bad interconnection, and all. We're going to make sure I talk less and you talk more. All right?
Okay,
are you ready?
let's do this.
Are you committed?
Yes. Yep.
All right, but before Wilson takes it away, a couple reminders. Make sure you like this video if you want to help the channel. Throw us a subscribe. That helps us a lot. Hit that hype button. And then make sure you check out some of the review videos. We still have some live giveaways. We have a giveaway for a Honolulu CR. And folks, we will be talking about their new surface. I know there are a lot of questions about that. We are covering that on the pod. But speaking of really interesting surfaces, we also have a giveaway for a Spartus P1 paddle. That video, both of those, I don't know if they have much longer, so you'll definitely want to check those out and try to win one of those paddles for free. Those are two that have stayed in my bag and will be staying in my bag for a while, I think. And then make sure you subscribe because we will also be giving away one of the new Volair Shift paddles. I've recorded the review. I need to edit it, but that will be on the channel soon-ish. So, why don't you just subscribe? And then, yeah, I guess I already hinted at this. I think it's time for a rainy day fit check. I don't know what we're shopping from the same condiment store with the mustard, but what do you think? How do you think this one's going for me, Mr. Wilson?
It's been cool. I really like your sweater. Where is that from?
This is from Slapp Life Pickleball. We've talked about them before on the channel. They make sort of those paddles that are like kind of smaller faces. Really cool, like just, out of the box kind of paddle designs, but they also have some really cool apparel. And so this is from Slapp Life, but I'm also sporting a hat. I love me a corded hat. I think everybody knows that. But this one is from Maverix Pickleball, and we will be talking about them on the channel soon. So that means we got a lot to cover, Wilson, so we better just truck along. So let's get into it. All right. Today's episode is powered by IntuitSport, a performance-driven sports equipment brand dedicated to giving athletes everywhere access to elite-level gear without the elite-level price tag. IntuitSport is rapidly expanding its lineup across multiple sports with pickleball front and center, all with one mission: make high-quality, innovative equipment affordable for everyone. They believe the playing field should be level and the best gear shouldn't be reserved for the few. While pickleball is their current focus, IntuitSport's product range is about to blow up, and they're quickly becoming a company to watch. Check them out at IntuitSport.com and use promo code MatthewK to save 15% on any product. Thank you to IntuitSport for powering today's episode. And I am trying to do a giveaway for some IntuitSport gear over on Instagram soon. So make sure you follow me over there so you don't miss out on that. It's at Matthew K. Pickleball. And now, Mr. Wilson, it's time. We've got some major paddle news. Everyone, the internet went ablaze last night. I don't know if you saw this, but folks, you did see it? All right, well, basically, this is a CR paddle from Honolulu. This is their normal peel ply carbon fiber surface, but they have now upgraded their lines or are in the process of doing that. They are attempting their own take at long-lasting grit. They sent a video out to some folks, and then it was like a race to who could get that on the internet first. I was playing what game? I was playing a board game with my girlfriend when that came through, and I wasn't gonna get to be able to like step away and get that all. I was not the first to post it because I was busy playing a really fun board game on a rainy LA day. But I've got all the info, and there's a lot of questions about it because basically the owner of Honolulu sent that video out, and we've actually talked on the pod before. Folks, if you're not subscribed, you would have known that this was coming because we've chatted about it before. But basically, Honolulu Pickleball, they're taking a stab at long-lasting grit. Their take is called Crystal Blue Endurance Surface. And this is basically what they describe it as being. So listen up. It's a lot of words, folks. But it's a precision crystal-infused particulate encapsulation process utilizing blue crystal media mechanically interlocked to deliver controlled texture and long-term surface durability. And that's a lot of words. And to my knowledge, no reviewer has received one of these paddles. I do believe they have gotten some units, but it actually is going to depend on how many of Honolulu's pros, how many paddles they want. So Honolulu's pros, you guys and gals, you don't need paddles. Let us get some, all right? You don't need extras. Basically, this is a technology that has existed within the firearm space for a while now, and apparently one of the owners of Honolulu Pickleball Company is also involved in that industry, and so they're just bringing that tech to paddles, and we'll see. We'll have to play with it. I personally, I'm gonna step up on my stump. All right, Wilson, and you check me. You put me in check if you think I'm wrong. But I think the durability, like for carbon fiber peel ply, the concerns, I think they're a little overblown, but maybe I'm wrong because I don't hit with just one paddle every single session, and so I'm a little in a different position. But folks have is this really as big of a need as like what I'm feeling from people? What do you think? Is longer lasting texture, grit, spin, is this a real big problem in pickleball? What's your take?
Yeah, I understand that pickleball paddles are consumables, and they do eventually need to be replaced. They're not like a tennis racket or a badminton racket or whatnot, where you just have to restring it and regrip it, and you're good to go for another few years. But I think for the price people are paying, $150 and up, those paddles should last a decent amount. I would say 6 months or so. But I know there are people who play rec play or play at the park who have who will play with the same paddle for like a year or longer, and they're fine with it. But I'm talking about people who are more competitive, and a paddle should last and perform well for at least 6 months. Come on, let's keep some plastic out of the landfills. But yeah, I think it is a problem because I came from a non-reviewer person, and I did play with one paddle for an extended period of time. And, just like, for example, specifically the bread and butter filth. And I did have to buy a few so that I can rotate them and so that I can break them in so that they are, so they all play relatively consistently. So yeah, it is a problem from a consumer point of view.
Fair enough, folks. Wilson is here to keep Matthew K. Pickleball in check. All right, so people want longer lasting surfaces, longer lasting grit. And so Honolulu is trying to bring that to folks. Now, so they are bringing this technology from another industry. And my only fear is, Mr. Wilson, I love the touch of Honolulu's paddles. And my fear is the new texture will be just this candy shell that's just, you don't get that kiss on the ball. And so that's what I'm scared of. I don't know if that's what it's going to be like, but to be honest, like the 11624's take with the Vapor Power 2, like I think that texture might be what is sort of like making that launch angle so steep, in my opinion. But also I'm not used to the Vapor shape, so maybe that's a factor. But I'm just hoping Honolulu's take doesn't change the character of the CR line in particular, because this paddle I really, really love. I love it in the elongated. I love all the shapes. And it has a lot to do with those flexure grooves allowing the ball to pocket a little bit. And that really helps in the touch department. And I'm just hoping the new texture doesn't cancel that out. But I saw you raise a finger, Wilson. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I found it interesting that they just came out with the J6CR, and then now they're coming out with the J6CR with the, I'm sorry, what is it called? Crystal Blue? Yeah.
Crystal Blue Endurance Surface.
Yeah. So I wonder, like, I mean, I feel bad for the people who just purchased the J6CR with the raw carbon fiber surface, or maybe they're like you and they like that specific feel. But I wonder if that was planned.
So here, yes, that is a big concern that I've seen on the internet already. And to be honest, Honolulu's nature is they bring tech as fast as they can. And so the CR was ready, and then they've been talking about this other grit technology, but here's the thing. It is not approved. It's not UPA approved. It's not USAP approved. And so that remains to be seen if it gets approved. But I think probably what they saw was folks didn't care that the 11624 Vapor Power 2 was only UPA approved and not USAP approved. I imagine seeing that and seeing the market make a demand for longer lasting grit regardless of approval probably pushed them, and I'm pretty sure they think they're going to get at least one of those approvals. But what they've said is right now they're selling them right now. They don't have the approvals. My understanding is, and they told me as they become approved, they'll ship them out and then notify customers through individual product pages. And then what I actually understand about Honolulu was on these pre-orders, there's always an option to cancel. So somebody can pre-order. If they don't get approved, they can still cancel their order. And then regarding folks that just got paddles, just ordered one, and mind you, these new versions aren't going to be shipped super quickly. Like there's still some runway for that. But if folks are like upset about that, it does seem, I saw the owner of Honolulu Pickleball comment on another video. They seem to be working on a program for folks that have pre-orders or just received paddles, and they're going to try and give them a deal to get the new paddle. All right, folks, just as we are logging off, Honolulu did send out an email and about the new Crystal Blue Endurance Surface. And basically, the first batch is estimated to ship mid-April 2026, no earlier than April 15th, 2026. And they're pursuing both certifications. Right now, neither are approved. And the other thing you need to know that we were trying to suss out was if you have not received a pre-ordered paddle, you can request to switch it over. And then if you have recently received one. They're offering a limited time customer upgrade program. And so for 89 bucks, you keep your current paddle and receive a new J2CR with the crystal blue endurance surface. And so that shipping will begin April 15th, the first batch. And upgrade purchases are purchased in order received. And those are not going to be eligible for additional discounts or anything like that. And so this upgrade program is going to remain available for 30 days from the date of this announcement for the original J2CRs ordered that were shipped before February 18th. And so that is the little bit of the update that we didn't have as we were chatting earlier. All right, Wilson, what do you think of that? Are you excited? Are you going to get an $89 paddle?
I think it's awesome. $89 to get another J2 or J6, a CR paddle with crystal blue grit. That sounds like a great deal.
Yeah, that I think is I think that makes sense for what they're doing. But and then if you're really bummed that you have two paddles, I bet you could sell your other one and make up the difference. And so, all right, Honolulu is heard everybody and is trying to do right. But it's cool that they're trying to bring new tech. And so, all right, that's all we got on that. Whenever there's Honolulu news, I get excited. And the Breaking Bad texture, the freaking crystal blue, I'm excited to see what it plays like. I hope it's more like I hope it's more like the diamond grit maybe from 6-0 than it is the 11-6-24 take. But who knows? And I just need to point out, folks, because we're talking about longer lasting grit, but there's another category, and I just released a whole video on the Spartus P1. You can design a paddle where the grit is not as important to get spin as other aspects of the paddle. And the Spartus P1 addresses this idea of grit not lasting by enhancing the coefficient of friction. I break that all down in that video, but basically they looked at a ping pong paddle and brought that kind of spin philosophy or technology and brought it to a pickleball paddle. So you can have grit that will never break off, and that will make your grit long lasting. Like if it's permanent, sure, but maybe that won't be the feel you want. I like that Spartus P1 figured out how to create long lasting, or hopefully it's long lasting spin, but it's not just reliant on the grittiest paddle. And so I don't know, maybe the crystal blue that's going to be coming up on the CR line, and right now you can get the J2 CR, you can order it with that or the long handle version. Maybe that will maintain the feel. It'll be cool because I think that will be the first paddles that we've seen this longer lasting grit on an existing line of paddles. Because right now we have the CF version, so we'll really be able to compare the feel difference. And so that will be cool. And then what I also thought was cool at Honolulu is they're not raising the price. It's the same $175.50 after promo code Matthew K as the other CR line. And so that's the news on Honolulu's long lasting grit. Any questions I can try to answer, Wilson?
No. The only thing that popped up in my head, you already answered, was that when people were posting things about the crystal blue surface, I was like, didn't they just come out with their CR line? And I'm sure some people don't even have their raw carbon fiber CR paddle yet, and they're already coming out with something like that. But you're right. There are times where Honolulu will kind of how some people compare it to throwing stuff at a wall and see what sticks, see what people like. And then they'll just keep going with it. And then there are times where they'll release things without really talking about it, right? And it's oh, if you just so happen to be on the website and be like, there's something to pre-order. I don't know. So I get it. I get
No.
it's their philosophy. But yeah, I'm excited to see what it feels
Yeah.
like and what kind of durable grit it is, like P1 or 6.0.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Or 11.624. We'll see how they all
Oh, yes.
compare.
Yeah.
But all right, Mr. Wilson. All right, Mr. Wilson. That is not the end of the pickleball news. I'm sure you know about this, but Yola is got a release coming, the Pro 5. They have a
Hmm.
page on their site now, and they're going to start taking orders on February 24th, it says, with delivery on March 3rd. And Wilson, I've tried to get some review units. It's a bit crickets over there for Matthew K. Pickleball regarding the Pro 5. I know some of the big reviewers I believe are attending a secret or I don't know if it's secret but are attending an event. So I'm sure there are details that are soon to be released. But Yola has teased out some info that I have sussed through because I'm very, very curious. On that landing page on their site, Ben Johns is holding a Pro 5 in the Perseus shape, and then Yola posted on their Instagram that they are, with this line, premiering a new shape, a hybrid. And that's something we've yet to see coming from Yola. We have some other hybrid options in the vein of Pro 4 via LUZZ, which we'll be talking about on the channel. I can't think of the name, but it's basically a hybrid version of their Cannon paddle. But we haven't seen one from Yola yet, and so their new hybrid shape is going to be called the Kosmos. Pretty good name, and it's going to be with Tyson McGuffin's going to be using that, and Federico, and so some big guys are going to be sporting that one. And then the only things that I've really been able to glean tech-wise is the edge guards have like these Tron-like like lines on them, which look pretty cool. And then I think a lot of folks thought Yola would move to foam paddles, full foam paddles, but from what I'm hearing, and this, I don't have any official information yet, but it seems like they're going to be Gen 3 builds. I think I heard John Q mention that. And, you know, if you watch John Q's pods, you can sometimes get some bits of info that you can't get everywhere else because he gets so much info, and sometimes you'll get a little crumb. Because I bet you he's seen the Pro 5s, but maybe not. But anyway, so I don't know. What do you think? A new Yola paddle that's Gen 3? What are your thoughts on that?
Let's hope it's a little more durable than the Pro 4s. I mean, I hear they play very well. I've only hit with it a handful of times. I've never actually competed or played with any in the long term. But I just hope it's more durable, and because the Pro 4 was already a really good paddle. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a whole breakdown on the Pro 4s, folks. Yola, check out that video. I think you might have might appreciate the work that went into that. I could do something for the Pro 5s. I gotta throw my hat in the ring on checking those out because a lot of folks are going to be asking. But if you check that video out, I agree they have incredible feel. I personally am a fan of Gen 3 paddles and the Pro 4s. We're going to talk about them actually a little bit more further in the pod, but it's hard to top Gen 3 feels for me because I'm a player that likes soft touch and hard hits. And so that was one of the first that did it. And so, if they can, I'm very curious what they're going to change in the 5. So we'll see. And then, Mr. Wilson, we are not done with the paddle news because I've got a little piece of information, a little juicy nugget that you don't know nothing about. Are you ready for it?
Let's hear it.
All right. So, Carbon is going to be releasing a new paddle. It is called the TruFoam Barrage. I just got off of a little Google Meet that they're having with some of the reviewers. And it sounds very, very interesting. It's going to be a floating core build, foam paddle, EPP with EVA. But this is the thing that's interesting. Okay, it's going to be a dual density inner core with voids, more similar to what we saw in the Genesis than the Waves. And then it's going to have an EVA ring. Okay, but the interesting part is that EVA ring is touching the EPP, and then there's another piece of EPP on the other side of the EV ring. So basically it's EPP center core, EVA ring with a EPP outer ring. And I think that's very interesting. And they actually made that choice specifically to they think that having EVA on the very outside can have some durability issues. And so that was one of the reasons that they opted for this design, which I'm not sure I've seen in some exactly like that. I mean, I certainly haven't seen the voids and all of that, but I saw a little cutout of the paddle, and it looks very interesting. And they're going to start off with a wide body and a hybrid. The other shapes will come. These are going to be 14 millimeter builds, and there is no fiberglass in the layup, but they're sticking with their 5 sheets of carbon fiber, which, I'm not the biggest fan of those thick layups, but I know a lot of folks are. But it seems that this paddle was really kind of an attempt to respond to what folks were having issues with the Waves release. And basically, this is going to be a stiffer paddle, and you're not going to see the dramatic trampoline effect that some folks saw in the Waves paddle. And basically they described it as a paddle, the new one, as a paddle that's got pop and put away power. They really they've had some testers describe it like the pop is their definition of pop is like quick energy return. That's Carbon's kind of, I know that word always needs to be defined, especially on this podcast, but their testers were kind of saying it feels springy, it feels spicy, but basically it's got immediate feedback is what they're describing. So I'm trying to get some units to see what we think, but basically, I like a paddle where the ball leaves the head quickly without over launching, and that is the promise of this paddle. So we'll see. Once again, they described it as controlled pop, not bounce, not trampoline effect, not that crazy dwell that can kind of affect people's timings. And so I think that's interesting. And folks, if you do, so basically they're going to have some different events leading up to it, but the main launch day is going to be March 17th. So about a month away, and it's going to be priced the same as their other TruFoam lines. So $279.99, but make sure you use a promo code to get the best price. And actually for this launch, they're giving me a different promo code because they want to track. They're doing a little competition amongst reviewers. And so my new code for this will be Matthew K-TFB. TFB being TruFoam Barrage. So Matthew K-TFB. If you use that code, if you end up grabbing one, it will help the channel. And so that would be super appreciated. But what do you think? I don't think you knew I was going to give you the scoop on Carbon. What do you think of this news?
No, I didn't even know about this Barrage paddle. But I know you said that the Wave was poppy, right? Or powerful. I don't remember what your description was, but I hope this Barrage is even more powerful and poppy, because I felt like the Genesis, the first one, the Genesis and the Waves were not powerful enough for me. And so I'm excited to see what this floating core brings, because the other two were basically one piece foam cores. And so now that they're stepping into floating cores, I generally like floating cores. So we will see. I'm excited to see what they have to offer.
Yes. And just to clarify, So I didn't describe. If I did, that was a mistake. The waves, I wouldn't say is poppy. It was dwelly and propulsive. At least that's I think what they're responding to. And so this is supposed to be more traditional pop. So brief life on the face, more linear. I think that's really what they're aiming for with this. And so as far as the power goes, they did actually break it down. So this is supposed to be more powerful than the Genesis and than the Wave. So we'll see. We're going to have to get some and really suss this out. But I can't imagine a paddle that has any sort of multi-density or EVA ring in particular. Like, it would have to be more powerful than the previous TruFoams. Yeah. So I'm very, very optimistic. And so what I'm scared about is the touch. And it sounds like they are, I mean, I think the fact that it doesn't have fiberglass at all, and the pop is coming from that core build and the floating core, that excites me. I think this one might definitely sit in my wheelhouse. And then, all right, folks, that is the end of the pickleball news, but it is not the end of the Matthew K. Pickleball podcast, because we have more. It is time for the other section you guys and gals are waiting for. What are we testing right now? This is presented by our friends over at SwiftNet. If you're looking for the best portable pickleball net, go check them out. Their nets are made out of aerospace grade carbon fiber, for goodness sake. I mean, you're not going to find one better. Use promo code MatthewK if you end up grabbing one. And all right, Mr. Wilson, speaking of Mavericks, I believe you've been hitting with a paddle, the Maverix Havic 2. And how do you want to do this? I wanted to walk through a lot of the tech and stuff. Do you want me to do that and then you go over your play impressions, or what do you think?
You know, it's your podcast. I think you should go first so people know what why I feel what I feel, I guess. Go for it.
All right. So basically this Mavericks, I've done a review on some of their previous paddles. Check it out. Mavericks is a cool company. It's one of those smaller paddle companies that doesn't just do cookie cutter paddles. They kind of are known for having this head with the top corners kind of shaved off. And it's just a very unique shape. I think they blew as far as like the design goes, blew it out of the water with how this paddle looks. It's super unique. You've got a very, very cool little, I don't know if that's an ocean.
Topographical
It's a what?
Map? Topographical
yeah,
map.
maybe something like that. And then I like how they do all the specs just printed, kind of like you sometimes see prototype paddles having that are handwritten. And so very unique company. It's run by a firefighter. So if you want out here in California, we're super cognizant of how hard those folks work. And so just a cool company, cool guy behind it. And so they actually were pretty quiet last year. And it seems they're kind of just like seeing how things were going, what folks wanted. And then it seems the owner teamed up with Justin Barton, aka Pickleball Etc., the co-host over at Pickleball Pursuits podcast. He's an advisor to a number of paddle companies. In fact, he played a big role, it seems, in the Volair Shift release, which once again, I'll be dropping that video with a giveaway super soon, so make sure you subscribe. But so Justin was enlisted to help with the design, and the owner has stated the goal was to have an elongated paddle. And folks, this is elongated. I know there have been a few people asking me over on YouTube. It's fully elongated. And they wanted an elongated paddle that was super maneuverable, but with a generous sweet spot and controllable power. And so maneuverability has always been the idea of Mavericks having this shaved off. And then here's the thing, and this is where I think I'm curious how it's going to play into Wilson's playtesting thoughts, because I didn't tell him any of this. But this is a full foam paddle. I'm going to break it down in a second, but it is intentionally on the lighter side because it is intended to have room for customization. I think they're even including a little sheet about where to place weight. I think one of their missions with this release is to kind of educate on how to weight up paddles, which I think is interesting. I think that's cool for sure to do. I think folks that buy this paddle are probably more gearheads, and so I think that's cool. I don't think Wilson knew that, so I'm curious to hear how he thinks it plays. But basically, it's a 15 millimeter paddle, 8-ounce target static weight, so light for an elongated, 110 target swing weight, that's without customization, 6.1 target twist weight, once again without customization. And so this build is very, very unique. It is a EPP floating core, but then it's got this low density EVA ring that encircles that piece of EPP, but that's not all. Then it's got, this is what's super unique. It's got a high density EVA foam that's kind of in a U shape, or they're calling it a wishbone, but like basically right here, cradling the rest of that core. And the whole, like, that's a very interesting build. That's that's more like, typically you only have EPP, EVA, or EPP is swapped out for something, right? But this unique approach had intention behind it. And so EVA is typically the thing that compresses and trampolines. That's what gives you the power boost, right? But this higher density EVA that's going to be down at the bottom, and maybe I can throw up a picture to show this, but this higher density EVA is intended to sort of shift the mass to the perimeter, and then stiffen the throat. And then what it ends up doing is it pushes that low density EVA upward to then lower the hitting zone and enlarge the sweet spot. And so because they've got this new kind of material down here, they're able to shift that softer EVA up. And so it's going to change the hitting zone. And I'm excited to try it out myself. Oh, and then one other thing that it does have internal weighting at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions. And then I like that they're using a classic three layers of T700 CF as their layup. So very classic. It is PB Core 43 certified, 1-year warranty, 30-day trial, which is always nice to see, folks staying behind it. The pre-sale is February 24th, and after promo code Matthew K, you can grab one for $148.50. So that's everything going into it. And Wilson, I know you've gotten to play a little bit on this. Any first impressions you'd like to share?
Yeah, when you said that they were describing this paddle as that it provides controllable power, I definitely agree with that. This was really fun to play with because it wasn't overly powerful like some of the higher tiered power paddles. But other than that, I really notice whatever they're doing, like you were describing earlier, the sweet spot is really big on this. I don't know. This reminded me of what I've tested last week. The Holbrook, the Holbrook foam paddle. This feels very similar. Giant sweet spot, and I really like that. However, it's just one thing I do want to say. Like me, it's just a preference. Um, I like more handled than cheeks or paddles surface down here because I don't hit the ball down here. So the usable length of the grip is a little shorter than traditional elongated paddles, but that's just a preference. All in all, I just really like the sweet spot. It's controllable power, nothing too super powerful. It does have the nice hollowy, stiff sound that everybody loves. That the boomstick has. That's kind of fun to hear. It's always fun to hear. But yeah, definitely more controllable than a boomstick and a much better sweet spot, in my opinion. Um, yeah, and I did notice, you didn't tell me, but I did notice because I haven't customized anything yet. I did notice that it was pretty light. It's almost Quanta light, not quite, but very close to Quanta paddle light. Yeah, I do enjoy this. This is really fun. I'm excited to weigh it up to test it out.
Without the weight, like just out of the box, what was the pop like? Because I know folks are going to ask.
The pop was pretty toned down. It wasn't anything too crazy. But I did get power when I did full swings though. So that was kind of nice. I don't know if the different EVA density foams, like the one down here and then the one around it, has any effect on this paddle, but it did feel a little more flexible than than other paddles that we've tried with just the traditional floating core. So I'm curious about that. But overall, it's really fun to play at the net and dinks and soft hits. So maybe this is perfect for your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more in my wheelhouse because the Honolulu, the OG J2, they have those stretched out cheeks like this, and it just
Mhm.
helps with that stability. But this,
Yeah.
like, I'm very curious because that high density EVA, I would imagine would reduce the pop if depending on how heavy it is, and so this might yeah. So you're gonna weight yours up probably for more power oriented player, and I can
Mhm.
probably play it stock and be happy with it. So all right, stay
You can
tuned.
you
We're
can
gonna be
definitely
covering
whip
this some more.
you can definitely whip this around.
I can whip it. You
Yeah.
promise? All right.
Yeah.
All right. All right. All right. Well, we got a couple more paddles that Wilson's been hitting with, and then I've got a couple paddles I've been hitting with. But the first one I want to talk about is from a company I've actually known for a while. They had some paddles that came out a while back. First off, they're called Gatorstrike, and they have created this very unique shaped paddle with some unique tech called, it's kind of an unusual name, but Armor Gen 5 X, I think, is what they call it. But let's just call it Armor for the sake of discussion. But before this paddle, they were working on some paddles that kind of utilized the black honeycomb polypropylene cores, similar to like what we had seen in Engage paddles. But they were kind of pricey, if I remember right. And then they make balls as well. But this is a paddle that is super unique, though. And so, why don't you just tell us what it was like hitting with this thing, and then I actually think I have a little bit of some surprises as far as like the tech behind this. So why don't you start this time, Wilson?
Yeah, sounds good. Like Matt says, I actually don't know what's in there, how it's made, any of the tech that's involved, but I do like this paddle. Similar to the Havoc, it's kind of cool. They're following the Gator Strike is kind of following Havoc's cutouts, but not as drastic as like not as crazy as Havoc's. But I think that does help with the reducing the swing weight because you're cutting off mass for an elongated paddle. But yeah, this thing is more power over pop. The first thing I noticed when I first played with it was that it was not very poppy, and it took a little while breaking in before I started feeling any power. So my very first 2 3 games, I didn't really care for it. The only thing that kept me going was the grit. The grit was actually much more grittier than other typical peel ply paddles that I've been playing with, and of course, it has some pretty cool designs. But yeah, power you needed to break it in before you get any power. Pop is still pretty relatively low. It didn't feel very poppy at all to me. Great grits, but one thing I did like over the Havic too is that the handle is a little longer for my two-handed backhands. Um, I guess the cheeks are a little, I don't know, I can't really tell. Just the way it's tapered is just, there's more usable handle up here.
Yeah, this has had a little buckle fat removal, as we say out
There
here
you
in
go.
LA.
So I do like this style,
It's kind of
this
like,
shape of neck.
yeah, it's kind of like the Havoc and the Agassi had a kid.
There you go. Great one.
All right, so
I like it.
you
Yeah.
liked it.
Spark notes,
You
I like it.
Spark notes. Well, Wilson, I don't know if you'll like it much longer because I'm actually trying to find out. I do not know if this has any approvals at the moment. It does have the USAP approval stamp. But I checked the list and I don't think it's there. Folks, if you know differently, comment down below. So I don't know if they're working on that or whatever. But yes, I hope it does get approved because it's doing some very interesting stuff. But if it is approved, comment down below. And maybe I just missed it. But basically, this is using a crazy take on a full foam paddle, which is basically, they're calling it a triple foam intra core technology. And it's utilizing EPP, EVA, and then something called PVA, which I'm not super familiar with regarding paddle construction. But the system, this triple foam system, is supposed to enhance stability. Sounds like it did that with your first impressions. Reduces vibration. We don't ever really talk too much about that. And then maintains consistent power across the face is what they're claiming. And so cleaner contact, less shock, and more controlled explosiveness. Okay. Did you get some put away power with this?
Not crazy put away power, but I did feel a more muted feel, like reduced vibration.
Okay.
So maybe that,
yeah, so muted.
That part worked.
Yeah, so muted. Well, the other thing is to note is it's a 15 millimeter build, and so that's gonna obviously have an impact on the power. And then what is unique is it's using T800 carbon fiber, which we don't actually hear much about. Larry over at Kiwi Labs has actually talked about the different kinds of CF. And then the other interesting aspect is it's got this this kind of pattern engraving on the face, on the texture, which is just
it's like
pretty
a holographic
cool. It's their
thing.
logo. Yeah, holographic. Very cool. Very interesting. But yes, this is, I believe, a 7.8 to 8.1 ounce target. Although my notes have a wrong number in that. So double check the website on that. And then I believe they're aiming for a 109-ish swing weight and a 5.65 twist weight. And this, once again, is fully elongated, 16.5, 7.5. But yeah, I think it's kind of like, I don't have an Agassi in front of me, but it kind of reminds me of that, except maybe it stretches out at the top a little bit. And yeah, so that approval is definitely a question, but the interesting part of the foam build is it's got those three kinds of foam, and it seems like the PVA, I believe, are basically like these kind of ribs like that encircle the whole thing. Like there's three there, three there, three there, three there, and so kind of like a target. And so very interesting build, very unique. Glad to see some experimentation. The owner there I've been in touch with for a while, and he is like very into like trying to find something unique. And they've got some other paddles that I mentioned, those ones that kind of took some notes from Engage. I don't know if those are on sale now. I would check if you're interested in that, check that out. But this paddle is on sale right now. A pretty dramatic price reduction, and promo code Matthew K does stack. So if you want to mess around with something like this, you can get one for $151.20. And so I do like the look. I think it's got some very cool things going on. This is one that's going to be in my rotation, and so make sure you subscribe so you can hear how a soft control lover feels about that. And then we've got one more that Wilson's been running through the arsenal. And to be honest, I don't have a lot of info on this. This is a paddle from a company called Slamopus. This is their Core X. It's a full foam build, shiny little edge guard. And basically this is USAP approved. I did check. It's advertised as 7.8 to 8 ounces, 16 millimeters thick. But right now, I don't think it's on their website. If it does get listed on their website, you can try promo code Matthew K. But as far as I can tell, this is a $230 paddle on Amazon. And so quite the price. But maybe I'm missing something. Maybe it's like sold cheaper on their website. If I can find more info, I'll definitely include it. But basically, the tech is unique, at least what they're advertising. And it's using, once again, another material name that I haven't really heard. It's a floating cord build. The centerpiece is called XPPF foam, is what they're calling it. And then on the outside of that, it's got an EVA ring, then an edge wall, and then the edge guard. And so, and their edge wall and their kind of blowout diagram, it does look like a substantial piece of foam. So I don't know if that's your typical hard edge foam we've seen in Gen 2 builds or something else. I will say the handle feels good. It's a good looking paddle, but it's even got a cool little, if I can get it in focus, even the butt cap is pretty cool looking. So some cool design notes, but I don't know. Does it live up to that $230 price tag, Mr. Wilson?
Not $230 though, but this is a very premium paddle. First thing that came to mind when I started hitting with this right off the bat was that this is similar to the LUZZ Inferno. Sound, feel, and power. So hopefully you can get a discount, or else LUZZ Inferno is still a better buy than this. But yeah, grit and power and pop. This, I don't know. Maybe it might have came from the same manufacturer because it feels just like a LUZZ Inferno. One thing though, so there's not too much to say because everybody knows about the LUZZ Inferno. So this is actually, I don't have it with me. It has the same shape and handle length and everything as the LUZZ Inferno has. But so that's it. But side note, this silver guard, it peels off. It turns into purple. But one cool thing is though, I kind of like the purple more than the silver. So Matt gave me a good idea, and I might use some nail polish remover or something and maybe go to town on this and see if I can bring out this whole purple edge guard. That would be kind of cool, don't you think? So for $230, this should not be happening. But tech, great. Feel, great. Playability, awesome. Power, totally there. But yeah, other than this, Slamopus came out with a pretty good paddle here.
All right. Well, I don't really know a lot about Amazon paddles, but I have noticed like they always have like those coupons and stuff. If I can get a discount link, I'll try to post it down below. And then they do have a website, and I've been in touch with them. I might have promo code Matthew K set up with them because we have talked about some other Slamopus gear before, but I'm not sure we had a code set up with them, but try it out. But yeah, I think LUZZ Inferno, that's high praise.
Yeah.
So if they bring that price down, I think they could have something that people would be very interested in for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, great. Now I got to add that because I'm about to try all the MPP paddles. So
Yeah.
I wonder if that XPPF foam that they're calling it is just is MPP. I don't know. This stuff's also crazy. All these new materials, like it's hard to keep track. I mean, I tried to figure it out, but it was I don't know what it is. But it's if it plays like an Inferno, maybe it's an MPP with just like a specific name. All right, folks. Wilson got to talk on the pod. I know I talked some, but see, I go and I have to go look up all the information. Wilson gets to go play pickleball and then just tell us what it's like. And I have to tell you what the heck's in the paddles. But I did get to hit some paddles, and I am going to talk about those. I just did a first look video. Mr. Wilson, I don't know if you caught it. I did a first look on the SLK Dauntless, one of the newest paddles from Selkirk. I tried to do something a little different, which was it wasn't really a first look. It was like a full review. I just recorded it in my car, and so check that out, folks, if you haven't. This is a very interesting paddle, and I think it's going to be dismissed by just about everybody because out of the box it plays super, super soft. Wilson, you got to hit with it. Wouldn't you agree? It's super, super soft.
Yeah, it's definitely, I rarely do I say that a paddle is a control paddle. I usually say it's more on the all court paddle, category. But this one is definitely, I played with it with its stock form, and it was soft and very controllable. It's definitely a control paddle. There isn't too much pop or power in it.
Yeah. And so actually on my YouTube homepage, I have playlists where I have one that's super powerful paddles, and then I have one that's exceptional control paddles. I have not added a review or a video to the control paddle list since probably Gen 2 days. This one got added. This is definitely a control paddle. But it's actually a very, very interesting release. It brings a ton of the tech from Selkirk's Boomstick and puts it into a relative budget paddle. After promo code, this is $180. If you use promo code INF-Matthew K, you'll get a digital gift card. So then your next thing will be cheaper. But $180. Remember, a Boomstick is $333. It takes the same core, which is Selkirk's, I think it's an EPP, but it's called Pure Foam. It brings that into this, but then it swaps out with the Boomstick has an EVA ring. This just has more Pure Foam. And I don't know if it's a centerpiece of Pure Foam and then a ring of Pure Foam, or if there is kind of like with the Honolulu paddles that there's a groove cut into it. I think it's probably a full floating core with the perimeter being a Pure Foam as well, but I don't have a full confirmation on that. But regardless, it's one kind of foam in a floating core configuration, no EVA. And we were just talking about how that softer, more compressible foam is what like gives you the power boost. And it's very clear, like hitting this and then hitting the Boomstick, like swapping out that one outer ring of foam makes a dramatic difference. And the other thing from the Boomstick, they actually brought the MOI tuning system, the weights. It's actually under this pickle clip. They've changed it though, and it's basically, it looks like a fancy looking lead weight that just sits on the edge guard, but it's actually not lead. I asked them. It's made out of other materials, so you don't have to deal with the toxicity of lead. But I played it stock. This is the elongated. It's supposed to be 7.7 to 8.1 ounces, a stock 118 swing weight, a stock 6.9 twist weight. And then they do have a wide body version as well that I haven't gotten to hit with. But the elongated stock, like Wilson, and folks, you all know you all know I'm a control lover. This was too soft for me. Uh, but I didn't want to give up on this thing because I was very curious because I thought there's some potential because it is a full foam paddle. So you get all the durability pluses. And so I also thought it was interesting. I haven't played with a full foam control paddle. As I just said, I haven't played with a control paddle in a long time that's been sent to me. Like everything has been power and pop. And so as folks know, I love control. I'm not going to just freaking dismiss this because my first few hits like were like decided I haven't felt this since my X-Pac days. No, I kept at it. And so what I ended up doing was PickleClips. Basically, they're like having the MOI tuning system on any paddle. These just pop off. You can cinch them down. They're kind of like Slice has their own version that requires an Allen wrench. These just pop on. I believe this one is 3 grams, if I remember right. And I was able to adjust the weight and basically adding this weight on the sidewalls. And I don't typically do this. If I'm adding weight, I add it down at the throat to reduce pop. But I wanted to increase the pop, and I landed on right here. It widened the sweet spot, but for what it did for me is it allowed a firmer connection with the ball, and I was able to get some pop. But it still felt a little flimsy to me. It was too light. I like my light paddles, but it just didn't feel right to me. So I ended up adding 3 grams of weight to the handle. And my little trick with, you can get Pickleball Effect, Slice, they all have really good handle weight, but they're all 6 grams plus. But sometimes I like to start small, and 3 grams, all you need to do is get one of your pre-cut non-lead weight strips, cut it in half, and then fit it on the handle. And this setup really, like, I like the performance. It's still a control paddle, but if you've got mechanics, you can get the drives that you need. You could get the drives even without the weight if you have the good mechanics. Like, people still wreck things with Vatic prisms. Like, you don't need crazy paddle builds to get power, but the pop, that's something you can't just create out of nothing. And so this weight setup definitely increased that, and it became a fun paddle for me. I might experiment with adding some weight to the head to get a little power boost, but it was just, if you want a really light paddle, if you want something super durable, that's a foam paddle, but you don't want to deal with the hassle of having top spin and learning how to control a power paddle, but you want foam durability, this pretty much is the only option. So I don't know, that's kind of my take on it. I think this is going to be a divisive paddle. Like, I think for folks to really understand or appreciate what it is, you have to step out of the wheelhouse of power paddles. And so that's my take. But in the same, while I was testing this though, I really wanted to then test it to the other SLK paddle, and this is their previous release called the Era. And this is definitely still the flagship of the SLK line. And I really enjoyed this paddle. This is a Gen 3 build. Folks have compared it to the previous power paddles from 11.624, which if you check out my interview with the owner of 11.624, it seems like those are probably going to disappear once these sell out. And so if you're a fan of the previous power paddles from 11.624, you might want to check these out. This is, I think, a pretty slept on line, and I really enjoyed this paddle. This, like, coming from this to this was like, oh, this is a lot of fun. But yeah, you do need, like, it's Gen 3, like, you do need to be able to handle pop and not pop everything up. You've hit with this one before, right,
Yeah.
Wilson, or have you not?
Yeah,
What do you think of this one?
Yeah, you're right on the dot. It plays very similarly to a medium powered Gen 3. It's definitely kind of similar to the 11.624 power paddles, especially the first one, not the Pro Power, I guess. The first, the first Gen 3 version of their power paddle. It plays very similarly to that, and the same type of power level. Is nothing too high or crazy like the YOLAs. But yeah, it feels really good. I have to say, it for sure feels better to me than the other SLK paddle that you had. Um, yeah, unfortunately, that's the case. But yeah, the Era is a great paddle, and it might be the only option if you have been playing with the 11624, because you're right. I think they may be discontinuing their Gen 3s.
Or yeah, they're doing their Jelly Bean lines, and then right now they have the Vapor Power 2. That's I believe out right now. Promo code Meth K works over there, folks. But yeah, and I did a first look on that paddle for anyone that wants more info. But yeah, and yeah, you don't need to apologize for not liking the Dauntless, Wilson. Like, you don't have to like a paddle, but I like to figure out
question.
like, oh yeah.
The Dauntless. I know that the Boomstick has like 7 or 7.5 gram weighting, MOI tuning weights on the side. Do they use 7.5 on these?
So it says that these are 5 grams. So that actually
Okay,
explains a little
lighter.
bit. Yeah. Well, yeah, but once I add mine, that tunes it closer to what the Boomstick is, because I
I
believe
see.
these are 3 grams, and so ultimately now I have 8 grams of weight right there.
Okay.
But yeah, I kind of wonder why they didn't tune it to be have a little more heft, but I'm not quite sure. But yeah, if you're someone that wants to play a control game but wants durability, this really, like, there's not another control foam paddle that I'm aware of, and so this is it. This is it. All right. Speaking of kind of the weirder releases from the bigger brands, we're gonna keep that theme going, because I've got Yola won't send me Pro 5s, but after a year of begging, I got the dual, and so I've been hitting with the 3S dual, which is, folks, if you don't remember, there are the 3S's, which was, I believe, Yola's first take on Gen 3s. But those were only UPA approved. And then they dropped the Pro 4s, and these were both USAP and UPA approved. UPAA approved. And then after the Pro 4s came out, they then revisited the 3S and released a dual approved version. I believe I got that timeline right. And
Where does the Mod TA stand?
Oh, I forgot about that one. So that would have been before all of these. So was the Mod TA Gen 3, or was it just overcompressed honeycomb? Now I can't remember. I think it was just overcompressed honeycomb. It was?
Oh,
okay. So no, I don't know.
Oh,
you could be right.
I'm pretty sure
Wilson.
it was a Gen
Folks,
3 paddle. Yeah.
Okay. And folks, if you're commenting right now, Matthew, why are you talking over Wilson? It's because our internet connection is lagging right now, and we're trying to guess when the other is talking. And so I have heard all your feedback about trying to let Wilson talk. We're working with the tools we have at the moment. We tried to troubleshoot something today, and we're going to try again. We're going to try and get this ironed out. But I hear the notes. You don't need to let me know down below. I heard it. For the 3S, though, so I never really hit with the Mod TA. I was hit with a lot of Mod TAs back when I started out in pickleball. But I don't think I actually hit with one. But I did hit quite a bit with bunch of the different Pro 4s. I actually really liked that. At the time, I was a fan of the Agassi Pro 4 in 14mm with a little bit of weight. But I broke this one out and was comparing it to this one. And so the dual, 3S dual, I think I'm going to hit with this some more, but basically I think it plays a lot like the Pro 4, but the 3S dual, it has less of that hollow feel and is kind of like a firmer connection on the ball compared to the Pro 4. And then the grit is smoother on the 3S compared to the the Pro 4. This is smoother grit, and it is a little less grabby, although as I got used to it, I was able to get the spin I was searching for, but it wasn't quite the way it was with the Pro 4. And so then, Wilson, I was thinking, who the heck is this paddle for? And then I went to Open Play and I was testing this out, and a guy across from me had the same paddle. And then he was like just praising it so much. And then I was like asking him, so why'd you get this paddle over like a Pro 4? And then he made me realize, dude, this paddle is $80 cheaper than the Pro 4. This is $200. The Pro 4s are still $280. And so an $80 discount, yes, you've got a little less grab. You don't have quite as much of that hollow, put away sensation. It feels a little different, but I don't know, like $80, like I think it's I don't know if the Pro 4 is worth $80 more than the Dual, to be honest, but yeah, interesting paddle. Also, I really like the look, but JOOLA also wanted me to check out, not the Pro 5, but they wanted me to check out one of their double vision paddles. And so thank you, JOOLA, for sending this. I do appreciate it. And first off, so double vision, or actually, no, this is heat vision. The double vision is one I'll talk about in a second. I don't have that one, but the heat vision, it comes in a Perseus, the Agassiz, the Scorpius shape. And it is, on the website, it says it's thermoformed in the handle through to the neck. And that is, I've heard another paddle company describe a paddle as being Gen 2 with kind of like a thermoformed handle. I personally think a thermoformed paddle is more about the core. The core is thermoformed. So this, my first impression is this feels like a Gen 1 paddle. And so it's a control paddle. I need to hit with it more. It looks great. Freaking very cool design. But yeah, my first impression is this was very soft, and so I need to hit with it more. I might add some weight. The only standout thing about it, or one of the standout thing about it, was they say it features JOOLA's SK film, which is supposed to be positioned between the paddle surface and the core to reduce vibration and unwanted feedback. And yeah, it is a soft paddle. You're not going to have any sort of rigid vibrations. So I really don't know what that film is. I don't even think I've seen people talk about that. I'm kind of curious, but it's a $99.95 paddle. If you buy anything from JOOLA, use my link. That helps the channel. And I think if there are discounts eligible on the paddles, I think it gets you the discount. Their whole program is very different. But between the 3S Dual and the Heat Vision, there is another line called the Double Vision, and that one uses aramid fiber, which I'm a fan of Kevlar on paddles, and we're seeing folks move away from that on foam paddles for whatever reason. And the Double Vision has this crazy cool like lightning bolt pattern on it that looks very cool. And so they said for that paddle, it says the JOOLA's SK film works with the thermoforming process to minimize vibration and elevate control while adding long-lasting flexibility and stability. And so that little text makes me think, since they didn't specify that it's the handle being thermoformed, I'm betting the Double Vision is actually a thermoform paddle. And that would also make sense because it's $20 more. Folks, if you've gotten to hit with that one, let me know what you think. Is that a Gen 2 paddle? How's the pop? How's the power? But yeah, interesting paddle. Like if you want to get in at JOOLA, you want a cool looking paddle, you can get a $100 one. I have to hit with this one more to really figure out if it's Gen 1 or not. Because I didn't spend a lot of time with this one. I did spend a lot of time with this one though. And the 3S, if you're a JOOLA fan, I do think this is, like, if you want to stick with JOOLA, I do think this is a good value within their ecosystem of paddles. I don't know. Any thoughts on all that, Mr. Wilson?
No, I think I've only played with the Pro 4 and I like that one. I haven't tested any of the other ones out, so I'll have to borrow yours the next time we play just to get a feel for them. And I haven't seen or
Yeah.
played with a Gen 1 or Gen 2 in a minute, so that'll be interesting.
Yes, and I cannot confirm once again. I don't know if the Heat Vision is has a thermoform core or not. The only thing that they
Mhm.
specify is that the handle has that thermoforming. And the way it felt, my first impression was, ooh, this is I haven't hit with one of these in a while. But this was also around the same time I was hitting with that very soft SLK paddle. So I don't know. It was a crazy week for me. And let's make it a little crazier, Wilson, because I've been hitting with something else that I have to talk about on the channel. And this is going to be probably a recurring thing because I'm not ready to really review this because this thing is different. All right, folks. I have gotten the Xcaliber Ergo paddle from the Accessory 8. So, folks, if you're a fan of the channel, if you've been here from the beginning, ages and ages ago, years ago, because I've been at this a long time. I didn't just start last year, folks. All right? I've been reviewing paddles. I've been stumbling on YouTube a long time. I know the subscriber count is low, but I've been here. All right? I've been trying. And so I actually reviewed a long time ago another ergo paddle from a company called Bird, their Falcon paddle. The company no longer makes paddles, which hopefully is not an indication of like this is a small market. So hopefully Accessory 8 is aware of that. But Accessory 8 basically made a premium ergonomic paddle. And folks, if you aren't familiar, maybe I'll try to leave the link to the Bird paddle review because I'm not ready to do a full video on this one just yet. But this whole idea of this kind of paddle is instead of using your wrist and getting strokes like that and getting topspin like that, this paddle is, some people claim ergonomic paddles help people play pickleball when they've got like pickleball elbow or other issues because it doesn't let you move the same way you do with the pickleball paddle, a traditional one. And basically this is all about being a lever. And then the other thing that the Bird paddle did not have that this one has is this one has flick potential because of how they made their pistol grip. Like this is very well made. I at first didn't really like the finger indentations because it was impacting how I like it. Just was very different, but I've now grown to like it, and you can still do all your flicks. And the thing about this, and you can do rolls. The thing about this paddle is I actually was able to really control the ball. They call this carbon fiber, but it's definitely got some sort of application on it for grit. And it's got great grab on the ball, very good spin. I believe this is yes, so this is a thermoformed or thermomold. They call it a thermo-molded unibody paddle. And this definitely feels more solid than what we were talking about before, these like older gin style paddles. It utilizes 8mm honeycomb. It's supposed to be 60mm thick, but it is edgeless. And I think I can feel that. And the old Bird had the edge guard, I believe. I actually think I need to weight this up. Believe it or not. I don't know where I'll be adding the weight, but edgeless paddles, especially like Gen 2 edgeless paddles, like they don't have quite the they dampen the pop a little too much for my liking, and so I think maybe I'll use some PickleClips on this. That'll be a good thing to experiment with. But out of the box though, tons of grab, spin. I'm still learning how to generate the power. And another feature of this paddle that is different than older ergo paddles is this extra handle. So if you want to do, kind of hard to see, but for those folks that do two-handers, you can do it with this thing. But really the mechanism that is cool is this hinge thing for putaways. Very fun. And then you can get under the ball. Like it was a lot of fun. I played with it a couple of times. Wilson saw me really struggle. I played with it at open play since then. People really, they're like, look, what is that? What is it? If you be ready. If you pull one of these out at open play, you're going to get stopped. They're going to be like, what is this? I thought that you were breaking out the charcuterie board. Like, the jokes will come. But it was fun to play with. I need to practice with this some more and then get some play footage and do some more coverage on this. But I wanted to highlight it. And, fun fact, ages ago, Pickleball Studio did a tournament, I think I don't know if it was in Hawaii, but somewhere, and someone destroyed him with one of these paddles. I don't know if they destroyed it, but they beat Pickleball Studio, and so that's a pretty good claim to fame. And I am actually set up with a promo code. This is a niche paddle, so it's got higher pricing, but promo code Matthew K does save you 15%, and so you can grab one for $194.65. And so if you've got a friend that's like refusing to deal with tennis elbow, this is something to maybe have them look at. If you've got a friend that has every paddle in the world, but you want to get them a paddle as an anniversary gift, you can bet they don't have this one. And the thing is, this is something that if you're getting frustrated with pickleball, you've been training too hard, you're not getting what you want, but you probably should just take a break. But if you're so addicted to the sport and you can't take a break, kind of like those people with the tennis elbow, you could get something like this and you can go and have some fun. And this really makes it feel like you're playing pickleball for the first time again. But if you work at it, you can destroy. You can destroy. And Wilson, that's my plan. I want to destroy you with this. All right. But I don't know. You hit with this a little bit. The learning curve is pretty high, right?
Yeah, for sure. It felt great when I was warming up, and I really like that two-handed backhand handle that they have. But I grew up playing badminton and tennis, and now I've been playing pickleball for almost 3 years, so I've kind of just grown accustomed to the traditional paddle handle, and so I don't think I would be able to really test this one to its full extent. But I have to say, it did feel good while I was dinking and warming up. So there's that. It felt great.
All right.
It could just be a me thing.
All right. So, folks, you all know I like to hit the crazy stuff. So I'm the guy for this one. But yeah, if any of y'all have played with this or another ergo paddle, comment down below what you think. Am I the only one that's into these things? I need to know. But Mr. Wilson, that brings us to our next segment, today's featured accessory, and we've got a good one. We have both been testing out Xero 360 Rally Pickleball shoes. I was a big fan of Xero's X1 basketball shoes. I think these played... I really like these. I like the look. I like how they played. I like the ankle support. And I was using these for pickleball. But they have since released a line of pickleball shoes. And Mr. Wilson, do you want to just walk through what Xero is all about as a brand and then maybe give us your take on the shoes?
Yeah. Well, I am so glad Matt has me because I came from running before this. So I know a lot about running, just shoes in general. And so basically, Xero Shoes is a company that specializes in more minimalist barefoot style shoes. And they traditionally had a lot of running and casual footwear. But now that they first went into basketball, and now that they're gone to pickleball, I really appreciate them giving everyone this kind of option. You'll see that it is a wider toe box so that your toes can splay. It's a zero drop, as in like it's basically flat, the same height at your forefoot and your heel. There is no lift like a traditional tennis shoe. So yeah, you are using all of your little muscles in your feet. And of course, your feet can stabilize itself with your toes as opposed to using straps and outriggers. Um, yeah, so basically, it's a minimalist barefoot style pickleball shoe. Yeah. Do you want me to give
Huh?
a what my impression of it, or
Yeah,
did
yeah.
you?
Well, yeah, to just follow up on what you're saying. Yeah, so they said this shoe is designed, it's got zero shoes, like barefoot fundamentals kind of approach, and it's supposed to help people, what they say, unlock their natural power and move the way nature intended. And so it's what you said, a zero drop, very thin, flexible sole. They said a 9.5 millimeter stack height. And so what they want is for better ground feedback and for that wide toe box, to fit the foot comfortably. And each shoe is each shoe is for a men's 9, as an example, is 9 ounces. And then yeah, the key features that they highlighted were ultralight, abrasion resistant and breathable engineered mesh with zonal support, tensioning webbing system, and gusseted tongue provides secure fit, and then big toe overlay protection for added stability, durability, I mean. And then heel lockdown, once again, this hard piece, heel lockdown provides flexible support for quick movements. And so those are kind of the features. I've got some thoughts on how it actually translates, but why don't you go through your impressions first?
Yeah. So I want to let everyone know who are interested in barefoot and minimalist shoes, to just be careful when you first step into them. You'll notice that you use a lot more muscles and your foot in general than you would from a traditional tennis or pickleball shoe, because there's really no support. It's a flat foot. It's a wide toe box. So I would say gradually break these in. Maybe start if you've never experienced barefoot shoes, try to walk with them first. Go do your daily errands with them. Then maybe you can try doing drills or warm ups with them. But slowly work your way up into really playing more competitive games with them, because you really the purpose of the shoe is to use your natural foot structure. And if you don't have that because you've been playing wearing regular shoes for the last few years, you won't have that kind of muscles to stabilize yourself. So you could potentially hurt yourself. So I like this shoe and I drill and I practice with these. But so far, even me, so I came from running. I ran in this shoes called Ultra, this brand called Ultra, which is known for their barefoot shoes. I've also ran in barefoot sandals called Lunas. And I ran 30 milers, 30, 35 miler ultra marathons in them. And even then, I still can't quite wear these for pickleball competitions. I still have to use my Asics or my head shoes, because I just don't have that lateral side to side support and control that is required for this type of shoe. But yeah, it's a great shoe though, but slowly work your way into it.
Yeah, my impressions. First off, I should also note, these are, I believe, $129.99. I actually don't know if I have a code with them. I'll leave that info down in the description. But this shoe was a bit of adjustment for me. And one thing I noticed was I had actually spent a lot of time with the basketball version. And if you notice, it's definitely got a beefier heel. The whole setup is beefier. And then the basketball shoe also you can get it in a low top, but you can also get it in the high top, and it has this ankle support. And I'm afraid that the folks at Xero that were involved in this might not be super familiar with the needs of pickleball shoes, because they had mentioned heel lock with this harder back piece, but your ankles are fully over. They sit on top. And that, for me, like, I was actually kind of like trepidatious to play pickleball with these, because I have one ankle that can fold over, and I was concerned about that. I've never worn shoes playing pickleball with so little support, but I want to try them out. And so I wore them at open play. And one thing that I noticed when I went to open play, though, I've never experienced this with a shoe before, and I've played with these shoes, these basketball shoes, in pickleball, and never had an issue. I love these shoes. First off, I freaking love the way they look, but I also think they perform really well, and I love these shoes for pickleball. This shoe, though, I had one really hard footfall on the front of my foot, like, and this is so thin, like, I'm not sure they quite. I feel like these maybe weren't play tested with pickleball folks, and I think these are maybe fine for maybe casual pickleball playing, or maybe if you're playing on gym floors, maybe. But for me, with our hard courts, like, I had a footfall that was like jarring, and then I have, like, I'm just in my head about this part, and so hopefully they'll continue adding to their line. But I have seen people play pickleball with barefoot shoes in the past. There's one guy at my open play that used to wear them all the time. And so if you're someone that, as Wilson said, has those muscles developed in your feet or whatever, and don't have this ankle issue that I have, and are used to thin soles, it's cool that you have something made for pickleball. I did also want to note, though, the sizing. I would recommend sizing up half a size for men. I know Wilson is a little, like, his shoes a little more snug, but I had to bump mine up a half size, and I have a feeling, based off of everything Wilson's said about shoes, he might prefer more snug shoes than most people. And so I don't know. Do you want to speak to fit on your end with your shoe?
Yeah, I agree that these run a little small. I wear a size 10 men's, and these are shorter. Not so everything, volume and everything, it's fine, but it's just overall, it's shorter overall. It's so usually I like to have a thumbs
Lengthwise.
Lengthwise. And so I usually like to have a thumbs width of space between my big toe and the end of my shoe. This one is probably like a half thumb. Like my Asics and my head shoes, I have a thumbs width of space between the front of the shoe and my big toe. But yeah, like I said, this one is about maybe half a thumb of space in between. So it is shorter lengthwise. So just be aware of that.
Yes, and that's actually, if you go to their site, they talk about that. That is, like, they're very much about the toes splaying out, and so that is, they actually talk about this on their site. So it is with intention, but if you're not used to this kind of shoe, I would recommend bumping up a half size. And then, yeah, I also think, I mean, they also changed the tread pattern from the basketball shoe. Like, I actually have become really a big fan of the herringbone treads for pickleball shoes. This is more traditional. It's pretty shallow tread. And so, yeah, I think personally, if you need one of these kinds of barefoot kinds of sneakers to play pickleball in, I would still recommend looking at their basketball line. I think I believe some actual professional players use these, and so I think they've gone through some more rigorous testing with some athleticism in mind. That said, if you're looking for the slimmest profile, this is the version to look at. So that's my 2 cents. I mean, I think they're a great brand, very cool brand, and I think they're going to continue trying to push in the pickleball space, but I think there's some room for improvement, unless you're super specific audience. So that's my take. And then, all right, Mr. Wilson, that's a lot. We got to wrap this thing up. Before we leave, make me better at pickleball. What is today's tip of the week? This is presented by our friends over at BodhiPickleball. If you're looking for top-notch pickleball accessories, check them out. Promo code Matthew K will get you the best deal. All right, how do I get better?
All right. My tip of the week is basically working on strengthening your mental mindset. I don't know if you can see Hoka right there, but you know, pickleball is just as much of a mental game as it is a physical game. And there are 3 points that I like to remind myself when I'm in a pickle, pun intended. But basically, number 1 is, control the momentum of the game. Pickleball in general is a very short game. I mean, it's only 2 out of 3 sets to 11 points. And it could last maybe 30 minutes or so versus a tennis game that can last 5 hours. So you just have to remember that and, control the momentum of the game, because it can it can end really quickly or it can last as long as you want. But basically recognize when your opponent has the momentum and they're getting a few points in a row or something, try to slow down the game. Take your time to return the ball. Take your time in between points. Raise your hand before you receive the point, saying you're not ready. But if you're on a roll, speed things up a little bit. Serve a little faster. Say the score, serve, or don't take too long in between points so you don't ice yourself out. But that being said, don't make it a hindrance and don't be taking a 1-minute break in between each point, because people at rec play will hate it and people in tournaments will complain about it and report you to the refs. So yeah, that's number 1, control the momentum. Number 2, nothing is really permanent. Just because they are winning doesn't mean they will win. You could go on a big swing and catch up and win yourself. So, there is that point. Just remember, it's even though it's 0-10, and their serve, it's not over until it's 0-11, I guess. But yeah, just remember, nothing is permanent. So keep that up. Don't give up until the very end. And then the final tip is the final thing to remember when you are playing in a high pressure situation is that points compound. This kind of builds on the first one where control the momentum. The compound effect, basically, when every point, win or loss, kind of builds or breaks your confidence. So when you're high up on your high horse, if you are getting point after point and hitting winners after winners, take advantage of that. However, when you are losing and you've lost a couple of points, don't let your opponent see that you're bummed. Unfortunately, I'm not very good at doing that. I need to practice that on myself, because Matt knows as soon as we've lost a few games or a few points, I am a Debbie Downer. So I need to work on that. You don't want to let your opponent know that. Don't pump up their confidence. Don't focus on your body language. Keep up your mental strength. And just keep pushing on and keep fighting. Like I said, pickleball is just as much of a mental game as it is a physical game. And half the battle is, between your ears, in your head. So, stay strong there.
All right. That's some good stuff right there. Wilson, you are not a Debbie Downer. You're always lifting your teammate up. almost to a detriment because I am not used to such positivity coming my way. So I always get a little, oh my gosh, what's happened? But it's always appreciated. But yes, I think control the momentum. I hear you. When things are going well, keep things going. And when things are not going well, slow it down. And then that dang mind trick. Fake it till you make it. If you're in the gutter, if you're 0-10, you tell your partner, they got nothing on us. We're better than them. I've seen a video, guys. He's my spirit animal. And so comebacks happen, baby. Comebacks happen. All right. Well, hopefully you will come back to the Matthew K. Pickleball YouTube channel and throw us a subscribe so you don't forget. And make sure you check out all the videos we've been chatting about. That Spires P1 video has a giveaway. Make sure you check it out. So does the Honolulu CR video. And my upcoming Volair Shift review will have a giveaway as well. And we're going to make sure folks know when the giveaways are over. I've got a whole new strategy on that. Don't you worry. But yes, please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. But most importantly, I hope you get to pickle soon. Wilson, do you hope these folks get to pickle soon?
I hope everyone gets a pickle soon.
Just don't forget, it's about having fun.